Hello. So, in my previous video, I had covered the preliminary chapter of the Indian Contract Act of 1872, and I had decided to post another video on chapter 1. I don't know if it will be my last video of this year or this month or when I'll be posting next, but I'm just doing it out of, just like that. But yeah, I said I'll do it, so I should do it. And I also wrote here chapter 1. So let's cover it. So, first, we start with chapter 1 of the communication, acceptance, and revocation of proposals. So, in the previous chapter, we studied about proposals and the proposal when in the definition chapter, and the proposal when accepted, it becomes a promise, and the promise, whenever it's validated with some consideration which passes from the promisee to the promiser, it becomes an agreement. And the agreement, if it has legal validity, then it becomes enforceable by law, and hence it becomes a contract. And if every facets which is required to be fulfilled gets fulfilled, then it becomes a contract. So this we read in the preliminary part, which gives a short gist of, I think, all the enactment given to us by the makers. So we move on to chapter 1, which deals in section 3. Yeah, section 3 deals in proposals. So first we are starting with 2a, the definition of proposal we read before, and now section 3 we read about proposals. So communication, how the proposal should be communicated to make it a valid one, how it can be accepted to make it a binding promise, and if it is something that is against the wishes of the promisee, or if there is any problem that arises later on, then how the revocation of that proposal can be made. It's kind of easy. So I'm just reading out the paragraph first. The communication of proposals, the acceptance of proposals, and the revocation of proposals and acceptances respectively are deemed to be made by any act or omission of the party proposing, accepting, or revoking, by which he intends to communicate such proposal, acceptance or revocation, or which has the effect of communicating it. So here it is written, it's a very basic, you can say, introduction of the later part is given here, that communication, acceptance, and revocation can be done by some act or omission, like some act. The proposal, say I am proposing that, take our previous example, I am proposing to my next person, to the next person, that please invest in my stocks. So what am I doing? I'm first, either I'm telephoning him, or I'm meeting him somewhere and then saying to him there, or I'm just sending him a telegram or a letter. So, whatever it is that I'm doing some act, I cannot let him know of my intention of proposing him to do something without doing any act. So, that act amounts to the communication of the proposal. So say I'm sending a letter, which is easy to, I think, explain. I'm sending a letter of say saying, writing that, hello friend, please invest 20% of your money in my stocks, or I like that, yeah, please invest 20% of your money in my stocks, and when I use that stock to get some, say in the business, to get some returns, then 10% of it I'll give to you. So writing the whole thing, or writing only that part, that please invest some of it in my stock, I send him a letter. So that is communication of the proposal. And say while getting that letter, he calls me up and says that, yeah, I accept it, I will do it. So that is his acceptance, and that he does, that is the communication of the acceptance which he is doing by telephoning or however I'm telling him to do it. And how it, and if he says the, and if say after sending him the letter that please invest 20% in my stocks, I have decided suddenly to go to some place, say to uh, any place, say to uh, take a name, Darjeeling or to Digha, somewhere. I decided to make a trip, short trip. So I won't do all this business now, and I want to revoke the proposal for now and do it sometime later on when I return from there, something like that. So I have already sent the letter, and if he gets it, then he will accept it. Then I'll be bound by the promise. So I have to revoke it. So what do? Whenever I send it, say I have sent the letter, I posted the letter that day only, or after few times, few moments only, before he has got the letter actually, or read it, or got it and haven't already read it, or say read it, I call him up and say that please don't accept it because I'm revoking my proposal. He'll be like, yeah, okay, why are you doing it? Maybe I'll explain because it's my friend or somebody known, as I've given in the example. I'll do it later on. So yeah, that's that. And that is how revocation of proposal is communicated. So there is some comments portion where it's written that communication of acceptance. Okay, so what we find in the comments, communication of acceptance, some writings, an offer is accepted when acceptance is communicated. The communication must be made to the offerer, and a communication of acceptance made to a third person creates no contract. This is a case law, Feldhaus versus Bindley, a very old case law, English case law, based on English law, which is very similar to this, 1862. So here it is said that an offer is only accepted, this communication of acceptance, an offer is accepted when the acceptance is actually communicated. So when the next person or my friend actually calls me up and says, yeah, I accept your offer, or say he writes a letter, or say he calls me to a restaurant and tells that, yeah, come meet me here, we'll talk, we'll discuss on your proposal over a drink, and then says, yeah, I accept it. So that when he does says it, it's actually communicated, and the communication should be made to me only because I have made the proposal, and not to anyone else, not to my mother, not to my brother, not to my next friend, or not to my neighbors. No, it should be made to me only to make it a binding promise. Or in some cases it could be communicated, say, through the other person, but it's better to do it first hand to the person to make it a very binding contract, like, or else it will again become voidable, and will at the some party will have, any one of the parties will have a uh, exception to rescind it. So yeah, that is Feldhaus versus Bindley, and that is also a very core, very basic principle of the contract law. Next, we move on to exposure of goods, whether it's offer or not. Say, what is exposure of goods? Say you walk into a shop or you walk into a road. There are many shops. There are, say, clothing shops. There are food shops. They have put up their best things on display on the shop window. So, could it be said that showing the things on the uh, window with the price tag, with or without the price tag, is it an offer? Just the exposure of those goods. So, what we find here, this has been decided in Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain versus Boots Cash Chemicals Southern Limited, 1952. This is also not very old, but yeah, quite a old case. And what has been decided here, that exposure of goods by a shopkeeper does not amount to an offer to sell. That is only invitation to sell, not an offer, but just an invitation. When you receive the invitation, just like a tendering, the government floats tender to the contractors, like who will accept the offer, who will accept our tender, and then bid, and then do the construction of, say, big constructions of bridges, roads, and multiplexes, or whatever they want them to do. So it's like that. It's like an invitation of the offer, not an offer itself. On picking up the goods, it is an offer by the customer to buy. So when I'm going, say I'm walking into a bag shop, and I'm picking up a very beautiful, say, Gucci bag or Lavi bag, and I'm, say, picking it up and saying, yeah, I want to buy it. So I am giving now the offer to buy. So I am offering to buy to the shopkeeper, and when the shopkeeper accepts it, and the sale is not affected until the buyer's offer price is accepted by the shopkeeper. So I'm offering a price. It's not necessarily like that everywhere. There's a price tag given. So when the price tag is given, it's like I'm saying that, yeah, I will buy it in this price only, and he accepts it, and it becomes, a binding contract, like he has to sell it to me then. And offers price is accepted by the shopkeeper. I have to give the money also. Their consideration must be complete, otherwise I just say that, yeah, I'll buy it, and then walk away, and then someone else comes and buys it, and I go to the court and say, oh, I said that I'll buy it, and then I went to grab some uh, you know uh, whatever, bagels or pretzels, and then my bag got sold. So it's not right thing to do. So that is not logical, that is not enforceable by law. Logical, no, that is not lawful, rather, because I had to give the consideration. If I say I have picked up the Lavi bag, given said that, yeah, I want to buy it, and paid the price to him, took the bill, and then said that, yeah, keep the bag for a while, I'll just grab some food because I can't drag it around everywhere. Grab some food, and then come back later on and take it back home. So I go away, and then if he sells it to some other person, that becomes, unlawful. Now I can enforce my right, my contractual obligation, and he is bound to give my thing back to me, give my bag back to me, or my money, whatever the court decides. But that is enforceable. Otherwise, it is not. The consideration has to be there. So that is what has been simply told in Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain versus Boots Cash Chemicals Southern Limited, 1952. Now next we move on to offer to the whole world. So that I said tender, that this, in newspaper you open it sometimes and you find that they float some tender, the government, in the ad part, beside many ad parts section where there are ads of many things. So those are offered to the whole world. Though an offer may be made to the whole world, a contract can arise only by acceptance of the offer. So the offer is made to the whole world, but that doesn't mean that the person who have given the ad is making a contract with everyone. Like he has to give his say tendered. He has tendered. Some person has tendered that, yeah, you come to my estate and you build roads in there, interconnected interconnecting multiplexes in my estates. So you do that. So that contract he has tendered, but that everyone is opening the morning paper and or evening paper, whatever it is, and seeing that. But that doesn't mean that everyone. I have to give the tender to give the contract to everyone, whoever is watching it. So whenever the person sees it, and can only arise by acceptance of the offer. So say now people calls me up. Hence, knowledge of the terms of the offer is essential for the acceptance. That's where a person sent his. This is different. Tendering, I am giving an example that is offered to the whole world. This is different. The example, the case law here is different. So the example here, that is Lalman Shukul versus Gauri Dutt 1913 case law. This is different. So the tendering thing that I was explaining before. So the person that I'm finishing off now. Say a person floats a tender in the newspaper, morning, evening, whatever newspaper, daily newspaper, that whoever sees this ad and whoever is a contractor can come to my estate and construct roads connecting the multiplexes here. Everyone is seeing it. So I am not getting into a contract with every person who is seeing it. Say 2 or 3 persons from there sees all the terms, is capable of doing it, and is actually a contractor or whatever, and they calls me up and says, yeah, ma'am, we want to do this, and states there. So now they are offering me, there's a counter offer, that yes ma'am, we'll do it, and we'll do it in this, you have to give us this money, and this everything. Now it's up to me whose I will accept, whose offer, this counter offer, whose offer I'll accept, whose proposal I'll accept. So when I accept any one of those proposals, that becomes a promise. And when I give the money, or say do some act or abstinence, here act only, say I give say 20% or 10% of advance, whatever he's asking, or the whole money, if he asks the whole money, which generally doesn't happen. So if I do that, so deposit it in his account, then it becomes a binding contract. Now it is enforceable in the court of law. Now I cannot say, oh, I told you you're asking for too much money. I have found another person next living next there to my estate. He has now he has told me that he can do it in half the price. I cannot do that. He can sue me. That person can sue me then. That it's not right whatever you are doing. You should keep to your words, stick to your words. Or he cannot say that no, I don't have supplies now, I cannot do your work within this time or that. Then I can go to the court of law and sue him that yeah, I have given the money, done everything that accordingly, but he's not doing his part. So that becomes enforceable. But what is given here in our Beard Act, let us read first. Hence, knowledge of the terms of the offer is essential for acceptance. So somebody has to know the total whatever is offered. So somebody has to know before accepting it, because acceptance is always unconditional, as we read it before. Thus, where a person sent his servant in search of his missing boy and subsequently offered a reward to anyone who would find the boy, the servant, on finding the boy, could not claim the reward, as his search for the boy could not be regarded as a consideration for the promise of the reward. So here, the person, the boy of the person has been lost, and he has already sent his servant to look for the boy. And after that, he gives the offer to the whole world that whoever finds my boy will get, see, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, whatever it is. So the servant finds the boy and brings it. He has no knowledge of the offer. So, and even if he has gone out in the capacity of a servant, not in the capacity of a of and a stranger who is doing this only for the sake of the money or only for the sake of the offer. So he's not entitled to the money. He could be given, but that is the generosity of the office master. That is a different thing, but he can't ask for it for the reward. So that is what is written in Lalman Shukul versus Gauri Dutt. This is a 1913 case. Yeah. Then is unaccepted offer creates no right or obligation. So if you don't accept the offer only, then it will create no right and no obligation on the part of the offerer or even the acceptor. This is a very known thing. A mere making of an offer does not form part of the cause of action for damages for breach of contract which has resulted from the acceptance of the offer. Ordinarily, it is the acceptance of the offer and intimation of that acceptance which results in the contract. This is Bhagwan Das Govardhan Das Keria versus Giridhari Lal and Company, AIN 1966. So what is said here? it is stated here that an offer has to be accepted, the consideration given, and every part of it has to be satisfied totally to give rise to a binding contract. So if it is not accepted properly, acceptance of the offer, so then so what has been decided here? It's what I've said in the very preliminary part of the chapter, or everywhere it is written that ordinarily it is the acceptance of the offer and the intimation. The acceptance, say, I see an offer in the newspaper, or I see an offer in anywhere, and I think, oh yes, this is a good offer, I need to accept it, and then I stay quiet. Then it won't become a contract, right? I have to communicate it to the offerer himself and not to any other person. Then only it will become a promise, and then consideration passes, and then it becomes the stages that follows to give rise to a contract. But the basic thing is I have to communicate my acceptance. That is what is written here. That is Bhagwan Das Govardhan Das Kedia versus Giridhari Lal and Company, AIR 1966. Then next we move on to section 4. Section 4, what is there? Communication when complete. So when does the communication is completed? So in the previous section we read about communication of proposals, communication of acceptance, and communication of revocation of proposals. 3 things. So when does the communication becomes complete, or when does the communication is properly done, you can say, so as to give rise to an effective contract, or so as to make it enforceable in the eyes of law, or so as to leave no flaw in its making. So that is what we are going to read in this chapter. So when the communication of all those 3 things becomes complete with examples that is already given in the Bayer Act. So when is the communication complete? The communication of a proposal is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. So proposal's communication is complete when, say I'm investing. I want my friend to invest. I don't know if I'm saying it right, whether I want to invest or my friend want to invest. Somebody is investing, whether me or the next one. Please untangle this and yeah, whatever. Say, take our old example. Say I want to invest 20% of my money in my friend's stock. So I call him up and say, hello, um, I want to invest 20% of my money. Or I want you to invest. I want you to invest 20% of your money in my stock. So I'm giving him a proposal. I'm giving him an offer. So I'm the offerer, and my offer is complete whenever he picks up the phone and he hears everything, and being a prudent man, he understands every word of it as it is. So then my communication or proposal is complete. The communication of acceptance. Now we move on to acceptance. So when is the communication of an acceptance is complete? So communication of an acceptance is complete as against the proposer when it is put in the course of transmission to him so as to be out of the power of the acceptor, as against the acceptor when it comes to the knowledge of the proposer. So why are we saying like this, as against the proposer and as against the acceptor? Why are we writing like this? Only because this is a binding act that we are doing. And binding in which way? Not in some customary binding way, but binding in the eyes of law. And when does it become binding in the eyes of law? When it is enforceable in the court of law. So when it is enforceable in the court of law, any party can sue the other party in the court of law asking for remedies if the contract is breached in any way. So that is why we're going as against the proposer. So say the acceptor is going to the court and saying that my acceptance, acceptor is going to the court and saying that acceptance, so As against the proposer is, so say the proposer goes to the court and say that I don't want to do the part of my contract because the acceptance is not proper. The communication of the acceptance is not proper. So he is going there, the proposer is going there against the acceptor. So when the communication will be complete as against the acceptor, that is when it comes to the knowledge of the proposer. Proposer will say that I don't know, it hasn't come to my knowledge. I was not called, I was not sent any letter, so I don't have any burden to fulfill my obligations, my part of my obligations, because the acceptance has not been communicated to me properly, and that is against the acceptor. Or say the acceptor goes to the court and says that I don't want to do my part of the contract. So what you can say now, because I have totally done my part, I have I've written a letter of acceptance, and he will show the speed post, say speed tracking record, and say that it's, say, see it at this time I've posted it and it has gone out of my power, but it has not been received by the proposer, so I cannot do anything. I have completed my burden and now it shifts to the proposer. So that is how they can argue in the court of law to get their remedies in whichever party wants to sue. Now, the communication of revocation is complete as against the person who makes it when it is put into the course of transmission to the person to whom it is made, so as to be out of the power of the person who makes it, as against the person to whom it is made when it comes to his knowledge. So that is also a similar thing as against the whichever party goes to the court. So against the other party, they can sue like that, with with their defense, to shift the burden of proof from them to the other party. Burden of proof that gives shifting from one party to onus of proof that gives shifting from one party to another. And it's the burden of proof that makes the person to give evidences of a thing, to prove something. So that is that. So we'll explain it in a better way with some illustrations given in the book, and then we can do it in with our old example. A proposes by letter. Okay, so the illustrations are: A proposes by letter to sell a house to B at a certain price. The communication of the proposal is complete when B receives the letter. Now, B accepts A's proposal by a letter sent by post. The communication of acceptance is complete. As against A, when the letter is posted, as against B, when the letter, there's a lot of sound in my area, so I'm having a little bit of problem to, but that should not be a problem. I might do it later on also and keep it to that, this much. Okay, there's not much though. We're doing 4. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Then chapter 2 starts. Okay, let me see. Okay, sounds will continue like sounds should, because it's the sounds that sounds have also the right to make sound to happen or to occur, and I'm nobody to complain about that, so I'm not complaining about anything. Let's just proceed with our video. Yeah, so what is it next? Yeah, A revokes his proposal by telegram. The revocation is complete as against A when the telegram is dispatched. It is complete as against B when B receives it. B revokes his acceptance by telegram. B's revocation is complete as against B when the telegram is dispatched, as against A when it actually reaches him. So here it also communication when complete of acceptance also and revocation also. Revocation is also the same. Say I don't want to say take our old example. We have read this example. There's nothing to explain here because it's very much literal. So take our old example. Say I want my I want the next person or friend say to invest 20% of his money in my stocks, and or my next friend has asked me to given me the offer to that please invest 20% of my money into his stocks, and whenever he'll use it in his business he will give me back 10% of his income, 10% from the part of his income as return. So take that example. Now he is the offerer, the next person, he or she, whatever, someone, my friend, say he is the offerer. He is offering me the um, that to invest the money, and he calls me up and says that hello, I want to or here they have explained through letters. Okay, we are doing it by calls because that's what people do now. So or sometimes by letter also in official communication. So he's calling me and saying that hello, please accept my offer of this and this. Now the call is, I take up the call, but I cannot hear anything in the call. See, I don't hear anything in the call, and I don't call him back also, and I cut the call. So he can go to the court of law as against me and say that I have communicated my proposal well, but that the opposite person has not given me the acceptance, so I don't want to do my part. And I'll say that I couldn't hear anything. I was shouting that I accepted, but there was no sound from the other side. So that could be said. Or if you take the example of a letter, then say the opposite friend posts a letter. Say the opposite person posts a letter of proposal to me saying that please invest 20% of your money in our stocks, and I receive the letter. So whenever I'm receiving the letter, it is so I receive the letter of proposal from the proposer from my next friend, and I see that I acknowledge everything, I read the whole part, and I decide that yeah, this is a good offer and I want to accept it. And I write down another letter in his name saying everything. The sound is continuing still now, but that's okay. We write down the whole thing that yeah, we want to accept the offer. I want to accept the offer. It's not we, it's I want to accept the offer, and I want to say uh, invest 20% of my money into your stocks so that you'll give me a 10% return of it. And this. So I write a letter of acceptance, go to my nearest post office and post it. So then it goes out of my power whenever I post it because I have done my part. So as against me, that is so as against the proposer, as against my next friend, I can put up a defense that yeah, I have posted it and it has gone out of my power. So it's not my responsibility now. I have communicated my acceptance. I have done whatever I could properly, and you should now do your part. So I can go to the court of law and say that I have done my part, and the onus shifts to the proposer now, as against the proposer. Now, say my next friend receives the acceptance, receives the letter, and he opens it and he reads it. Now I say that I don't want to do that part or something like that. I don't want to do my obligations. I don't want to invest 20% of my stock. Now he can go to the court and say, oh, you sent the letter. I opened it. I read it. It is in your handwriting, signed by you, in your letter pad. So why won't you do your obligation? Why won't you give me 20% of your stocks? What is the problem here? So as against me, whenever it is come as against the, I'm the accepted here. So as against me, it becomes complete whenever he reads the letter, opens and reads the letter, that is comes to his knowledge. Now for revocation, let us give the same example. So as so after I've sent him the, as soon as I've posted the letter of acceptance, then only, so here communication of revocation. So when it is completed, so say the proposer is revoking his proposal. So the proposer, say my next friend, he wants to go on a trip now, a small trip now, and he'll be back after say 2-3 days, and he wants to do this after 2-3 days. So he will revoke this offer now, his proposal for now. So what will he do now? He has already sent a letter of proposal, writing it and everything, and he has not yet received my letter of acceptance. So what he will do, he will write me a letter of revocation and say by telegram or speed post, something that will reach me faster before my acceptance comes to him. So he writes it down and he posts it and he sends it to me. So as against me, so if I say that it so now the proposer, he wants to revoke his proposal, he can go to the court of law and say in his defense that oh, I have posted the letter through a telegram, I have telegrammed my friend her, or I have sent a speed post revoking my offer, and it has gone completely out of my power, so as to be out of I mean I have done all my part, and revocation should be complete. So he can say that, and I can put my defense that oh, it hasn't come to my knowledge yet, I haven't found the letter, I haven't read it, so I want the full performance, I want specific performance of the contract. So that could be done. So we are dealing with some comments here. Communication of proposal and acceptance. So what is written here? The advertisement of the corporation for tenders was an invitation. Oh, they are dealing with tenders now. The advertisement of the corporation for tenders was an invitation to make an offer. The tenders, when submitted to the corporation, were offers or proposals in terms of Section 4 of the Act, and the communication of proposal or offers was complete when received by the corporation. In terms of Section 4, there's a lot of sound here going on. It's, Jagodharti Pujo today, and not many places are, I mean there's not, I mean all the places are not shut, most places are open only, so people are going here and there for work, but still there's a festive mood, maybe that's why there's a lot of sounds. Anyway, so what we're doing, I think I just, yeah, the advertisement of corporation for tenders was an invitation to make an offer. The tenders were submitted to the corporation were offers or proposals in terms of Section 4 of the Act, and communication of proposal or offers was complete when received by the corporation. In terms of Section 4 of the Act, the acceptance was not complete as it was never made and never put into transmission. The revocation within the meaning of Section 4 was complete as it was received and within the knowledge of the corporation. The offers or tenders were revoked before it was accepted. The contract never saw the light of the day. So once the once the offer is revoked, before it is made into a binding promise, before it is accepted only, then the promise will only not happen. So then revocation is complete because the contract will never come into being. So this has been decided in Shyam Biri Works Private Limited versus UP Forest Corporation, AIR 1990. Next, we go on to where an offer is made by a method of instantaneous communication like telex. The contract is only complete when the acceptance is received by the offerer, and the contract is made at the place where the acceptance is received. Entorus Limited versus Miles Far East Corporation, 1955. It's a 1955 case. So, what has been given here? So here we see that when it is made by instantaneous method like telex, so in 1955 telex was available, now telephones, mobile phones are available. So in this way, whenever it is made instantaneously, that I call up my, like I said about the telephone, I call up my friend and say that I want to make this offer. So the offer is complete when the acceptance is made, is received by the offerer, and the contract is made at the place where the acceptance is received. So at that place only the contract is made when the acceptance has been received. So that has been decided in Entorus Limited versus Miles Far East Corporation. Next we move on to contract by correspondence, antecedents and subsequent negotiations. The communication of acceptance of the highest bid is necessary for completed contract. So this is about tenders. So whoever bids the highest, any tender say, or say bidding also. Say I'm selling a thing, I put up a good, say an antique mirror, or say a antique statue, and say that whoever pays me the highest bid will get this thing. So people now put on bids keep coming in through telephones or letters or in whichever way I specify. So communication of the highest bid is necessary. So whoever has communicated the highest bid or the bid I like, I will then accept it and that will become a contract. So that letter has to come to me, or that call has to come to me, or that communication has to be made. Somebody is sitting in their home in under the fan in on a sofa in front of the TV and thinking that, oh yeah, I want this statue, I want to bid this much on it, but never goes and makes the phone call or sends the letter. So that won't make a contract. That is what is given in, that is what was held in Haridwar Singh versus Begum Sumbrui, AIR 1972. Dispensing with notice of acceptance. A notification of acceptance is required for the benefit of the person who makes the offer. The person who makes the offer may dispense with the notice to himself if he thinks it desirable to do so. There can be no doubt that where a person in an offer made by him to another person expressly or impliedly intimates a particular mode of acceptance as sufficient to make the bargain binding. It is only necessary for the other person to whom such offer is made to follow the indicated mode of acceptance. And if the person making the offer expressly or impliedly intimates in his offer that it will be sufficient to act on the proposal without communicating acceptance of it to himself, then performance of conditions is a sufficient acceptance without notification. So, however, the proposer wants us to do, once the accepted to do, to communicate his acceptance, to make it a binding promise, that is what he should do. So generally he has to give a notification of an acceptance, a notice of the acceptance. What is the notice of the acceptance? Say by a letter or by his oral words or by telephone, by telex, any manner. He has to put it in his words of mouth, something like that. But the proposer can dispense with that also. The proposer can write that you don't need to accept that. You don't need to communicate your acceptance in any manner. If you use it or if you do something, then only it will be complete. So we have a example case law here, where it was held, Carlyle versus Carbolic Smokeball Company. So this was like they the Carbolic Smoke Ball company had given a medicine. I think I don't remember much, but I think it was a cough syrup or something. So they were said that if you drink that and your cough or your ailment is not does not vanish within one day or one or few hours. I don't think it's a cough syrup. I think it's a smoke ball, something like that. It was some kind of medicine. So if that medicine doesn't work like that within 1 hour, if your ailment doesn't vanish, then we'll give you 10,000 rupees. So this person, Carlyle, he had the medicine and he got sick, more sick, or his ailment didn't vanish, something like that. So then he sued the company and said that I want my money. And the company said there is no contract. Why should you give it? But they only said that you don't need to, give any acceptance while they put it on the labels or put it in their ads. So you can just, wherever you're using it, you're drinking it, that means you are, binding contract comes into existence. So he was entitled to the money. That is what was 1893 case law. It was a British case law. At those times, there were, very landmark cases, some uh, out of the context cases we got to see. Yeah. So next, we move on to revocation of proposals and acceptances, section 5. So this I'll do in my next video. I think my device is getting heated up. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm doing my next video. I'm just putting up another one.